Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Bucket Think Tank. And today we've got some pretty interesting, rather frustrating news, courtesy of the Bustle, and regarding Laura Dern's character in Star Wars The Last Jedi, Holdo. Apparently, she is force sensitive, and it's apparently a super revealing detail. It's also a super pointless detail, but let's sort of go into it. So, in the new interview with Entertainment Weekly, the Emmy-winning actor, blah blah blah, said that her character had a connection to the Force. She told the publication that through conversations with Ryan Johnson, Ram Bergman, the producer, and Kathleen Kennedy about Holdo, she learned that the Resistance leader was more in tune with the energy field that connects all living things than audience might have realized. And then she said, in regards to her character, she was longing for peace and a revolutionary in that way, and wanted to be trained by and led by Leia, who taught her everything she knew. She wanted to come up in the ranks to support Leia's mission, but also have this otherworldly side that does involve the Force. And I don't get that. And then Dern continued, there's something about her that longs to protect it, and holds that with great care. There's a sort of a light and a wisdom that she speaks about in the film, and speaks to Oscar Isaac's character briefly about it. Yeah, her primary goal was to protect the light and to protect the Force, and to keep the revolutionaries alive. And I think the film speaks so beautifully to that with this last image of the next generation of resistance, And that doesn't really make sense. And the article goes on to talk about Holdo's unwavering commitment to protecting the light didn't always go over so well with Poe Dameron, Oscar Isaac, and company, but the skepticism did not faze her. She would do whatever it took to keep the resistance alive. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Their skepticism is due to the fact that she has no plan, or that at least she's not even saying she has a plan. That's the stupid part. That's the skepticism part. That's kind of it. Okay, but whatever. So, in a 2017 interview with Los Angeles Times, Dern recalled a meeting she had with Johnson long before the movie was made, and as she told them, Johnson invited me to talk about what he was working on, and it was not made clear that what the film was, but the first thing he described was this quality of someone who was so steadfast that you don't know what side they're on, because they don't need the rest of the world to know their plans. The kind of person, the kind of woman, who was clear in her voice and even in the company of men. Questioning her doesn't need to justify her behavior or her choices, because if she was outspoken about it, it might not allow the plan to have room. I I don't get this. And then the article goes on to talk about Holdo's devotion to her plan ultimately costing her own life. When the whole situation involving the Radish reached the especially dire point, Vice Admiral Holdo quietly volunteered to pilot the ship to certain death so everyone else could be safe. As Princess Leia put it, she cared more about protecting the light than seeming like a hero. She might have not cared about seeming like one, but Admiral Holdo sure died a hero. Holdo was force sensitive, and we barely got to see her use it. Can you even imagine what it would be like to watch Laura, Amy, Jellicoe Dern really flex her force muscles throughout episode 8? What a gift that would have been if Holdo had not died on the Radish. Who knows what would have happened next? Alright, everyone in this probably would have been killed by the Order. Fair point. Not true. Not true at all. This is kind of stupid. Alright? And this is coming from someone who, despite my misgivings about the film, and if you're familiar with the channel, you know I've had misgivings about this film, I have been relatively tame with all the news coming out. Alright? When the book came out and revealed knowledge that, it turns out Rey was quote unquote chosen by the cosmic force, according to Luke, to, do its will, do its bidding. She's a chosen one in a similar light. The fact that Rey effectively downloaded her knowledge of her abilities with the Force when Kylo Ren force probed her mind, she sort of force probed back to effectively say, I've downloaded everything I need to know. I know Kung Fu. She went full Matrix. Alright, I didn't say a word. I just rolled my eyes and said, you know what? Fine. I don't even really care about the little boy that uses the Force, because even though it's kind of stupid, not that he can use the Force, that actually doesn't surprise me at all. Force-sensitive people, despite what they tried to imply with Rey, you know, you can have the Force and not have extraordinary parents. Look at the bulk of the Jedi Order, as we said before. Extraordinary parents is not always needed for extraordinary powers. There's a really cool thing called the X-Men prove that too. But to me, this sort of echoes home like the idea of Rey, essentially downloading the Force. The idea that Holdo had the Force reminds me a bit of an issue I sort of have with Korra, in that going in, Korra already knows the first three elements. She already knows how to waterbend, how to firebend, and how to earthbend. There's no build up to it. There's no real interesting point to her character in terms of how her powers are developed. And the same issue is with Rey. Rey's progression as a character is not tied to the progression of her powers. Rey just has powers, and her character personality take a back seat to that. This is actually a very good example of a Mary Sue. Go to Kirito for another example of that. But another problem is sort of when it comes to Holdo, is her being force sensitive has no real impact on this story. I mean, it's one thing to say that Holdo is intentionally withholding her plans from Poe and apparently everyone else aboard the ship. Because remember, that whole coup worked out pretty well. Because even people that were right next to Holdo were like, she has no plan. She's told no one of a plan. She hasn't even implied she has a plan. So let's do this. So now it's because she is steadfast and strong that she feels she doesn't have to tell her subordinates plans. I mean, crew morale has to be pretty low if you think about what's going on here. Admiral Akbar is dead. General Leia is comatose, presumably possibly dead. The First Order is literally at the doorstep. They've got 18 hours. They need something other than, here we are, I'm going to be quiet, and imply that I have a plan, without telling you that I have a plan, or that there is a plan in the works, because I'm steadfast and strong, or when I have the Force. I'm all about protecting the light. This is unnecessary. This is unneeded. It actually raises more questions, because if we're implying that Holdo has a connection to the Force, she's connecting to the Force, then this is implying that she can also use the Force to some extent. We already know that Leia can use the Force to some extent. Hence her Mary Poppins Superman scene. So, you're telling me that aboard this ship, there are two people who can use the Force in a meaningful way, yet Rey has to go looking for Luke. What is going on? I don't get this. Why is it that neither Holdo nor Leia can teach Rey how to use the Force? Obviously, Leia learned from Luke. So, what? What is going on here? Is the argument that Leia doesn't have time? That Holdo doesn't have time? Well, we didn't know Holdo didn't have time. We know who Holdo was. Holdo also didn't have to die. Like, this whole thing where she had to drive it through herself made no sense. The obvious answer is, let the droid do it. Or, as my idea was, have Akbar do it. Have Akbar go out like a boss, sacrificing himself. And to make it even more interesting, Akbar sacrifices himself and imposes upon Holdo and Poe the importance of communication, of sticking by your convictions, and, the bigger goal. You could have literally had Holdo and Poe sort of be like rivals for their teacher's approval, their teacher being Leia. And, Holdo's got this great, generalship, or like pre-generalship, and Poe's this great pilot. They each have different ways of going about it. And that would have been a more interesting story. You could have had Holdo learn to find her voice as a non-Force sensitive person, and she says, I wish I had the Force. And Leia goes, you don't need the Force, all right? The Force is this really cool thing you can do, but it doesn't mean you're any less if you don't have it. I mean, Star Wars has never solely relied on Force sensitive people. All right, I don't know if you guys remember Boba Fett, Jango Fett, Han Solo, Lando Calrissian. Just the Mandalorians. You don't remember the Mandalorians? Mandalore? I just, I don't know. I have to. This news doesn't hurt. I'm not a fan who says, this ruined my childhood. This ruined Star Wars for me. It takes a lot to even get me to entertain the idea that this movie or any movie actually ruins my overall fandom. Alright? There's an old YouTube video of Scrooge McDuck apparently having paid the Beagle Boys to kidnap Webby. Alright? And that didn't ruin my childhood. All right, the Robot Chicken sketches can almost ruin your childhood. There's a scene of Rocco's Modern Life where Rocco is a phone sex operator. Okay, that didn't ruin my childhood. That actually enhanced my childhood. It takes a lot to ruin my nostalgia. But this just kind of hurts. And not in a way that it hurts me personally, but it sort of furthers the idea that this new Disney Star Wars empire has become sort of the fast food franchise. So, fast food is not food made with a lot of effort and care. As the name implies, fast food is for convenience. It goes in, it's very streamlined. Think of the episode of SpongeBob when someone buys a Krusty Krab and it becomes all corporate and everything on the inside is gray. Everything inside is gray. But these crab patties coming out rapid fast, rapid fast. And this is what's happening in Star Wars. Like, I hate to be the sort of purist, but things were better before. All right, yeah, we didn't get a Star Wars film every couple of years. And that's what a lot of people want. People wanted more Star Wars. George Lucas wasn't doing more Star Wars. To be the fan base sort of, you know, put him on the rack for those prequels, which weren't all that bad, but they had their problems. This is what was always going to happen once Disney took over. And I love some Disney. I love my Disney overlords. Because when they do good stuff, they do good stuff. They gave me DuckTales back. It's not the DuckTales I wanted, but I enjoy it. I wish it would come back. They gave me Gravity Falls. I like that. They gave me Star vs. the Forces of Evil, which I don't watch all the time, but I do watch. Alright? I don't have a problem with Star Wars up until we got to The Last Jedi. A movie that, by all accounts, was everything I wanted in a Star Wars film, which was just Luke Skywalker coming back. That was my only requirement for Star Wars. I didn't care who Snoke was, so long as I got an understanding of who Snoke was. He didn't have to be any headcanon I thought of, which I had none. Some people said he was Plagueis, like, that's cool. He's Bane, that's cool. He's Jar Jar, that's hilarious and stupid, don't do that, but cool. I didn't care. As long as I said, okay, Snoke's cool. This is Snoke. I understand Snoke's character. I didn't get that. And the expanded universe materials have not been that great. All right, I'm not just talking about the Star Wars novel, which, as we talked about with the downloading, I'm talking about the comics as well. The comics now seem either really set on giving us more Darth Vader, which is getting a bit stale, and dragging its proverbial feet with everything going on between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. All right, Luke has gone through every possible way to not learn how to use the Force because he cannot know too much in Empire Strikes Back. And with Rebels already letting us know that, Ezra's alive post Return of the Jedi and Kanan Jarrus is already a thing, and Hera, why didn't we know about that? Why does Luke know about them? Will we get to a point where Luke goes looking for them? It would be interesting. I don't know. This is. I don't know. I want you to. Going on to the fast food thing. It sort of really does sum up Star Wars in a nutshell, what it's become now. And yeah, I can totally admit it. Maybe I'm wanting too much. Maybe I'm making it too personal. Maybe I don't have the right to speak for every Star Wars fan. I don't ever want you to think I'm speaking for everyone. I know I don't. I know to some people, The Force Awakens and Last Jedi and Rogue One are their Star Wars canon, are their experiences, and they love them and I love them. And I love that they love Star Wars. I love that they love The Last Jedi. I wish I could. I wish I could look at The Last Jedi and say, this is going to be one of the great movies ever. And maybe years down the line we'll say it was cinematic brilliance. I doubt it. Because every argument in favor that, like, well, it's different than every other Star Wars film that came before it. Like Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back only had to be different than one Star Wars movie. And different does not automatically equal good. That is not equal anything. Different is just different. All right? That's all there is to it. Change by itself is neither inherently good nor inherently bad. It's just change. So, looking at this, I just sort of feel a bit drained. Like, this edition of Holdo being force sensitive does nothing for Holdo's character. It actually sort of ruins it. Because the argument here is she, like Darth Sidious, is saying, I have foreseen it. The resistance will not be able to endure the First Order here. If we try to fight, we'll die. And if we try to sabotage them in order to make things worse and our plans will be found out. So instead of telling people, hey, we're going to evacuate, I'm just going to keep it quiet. But that only really works if she knew this would always happen and she knew she was have to sacrifice herself. That would almost work, except for the fact that this is never communicated in film. This little bit of stupid, pointless information does not enhance anything so much as just makes things worse. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I am just needlessly ranting, which is maybe the other catchphrase of this channel, needless ranting. I don't know. It just feels, and I think I've said it before, Star Wars has become the fast food thing. It's no longer special. It's only special if this is the only fast food you get. But in a world where superhero movies are coming out like every year, and anime has been reaching us, with light speed. Like the Basilisk the Oka Ninja Scrolls have apparently already been dubbed on Funimation. All right, the fact that we actually have an anime coming out about racehorse girls, anime style, it to me says that we're coming to an oversaturation of medium here. The fact that comic books are coming out in rapid fire, we run this very big risk of putting out Star Wars films and saying, okay, here's all the aesthetics of a Star Wars film. And that's what you want, right? You want to see a lightsaber. This is Star Wars, right? You want to see people with the Force. This is Star Wars, right? But I don't think that is Star Wars, at least to me. And this is coming from someone whose only requirement for every Star Wars film is at one point show me two morons swinging light brights at each other, and I'll probably just endure everything. That's how I got through the Phantom Menace. That's how I got through Attack of the Clones, and I didn't really have to get through Revenge of the Sith because they gave me that in spades. All right, and that's why I'm like lukewarm on Rogue One. All right, I just I don't know. I don't know. I came to the Last Jedi just for Luke. I didn't have a good time. I got Luke. Didn't have a great time. I don't know. I'm rambling at this point. If you have any thoughts on this information, feel free to leave your thoughts down in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, give a like. If you have any opinions about the other stuff I've just been bubbling out of my mouth, leave that down in the comment section as well. And maybe at some point I'll talk about what Star Wars is to me. I don't know. This is the Pocket Think Tank signing out. May your fandom serve you well.